Hi there, it's Jeff here from the Wetsuit Centre. Walking you through today is how to choose a good fitting wetsuit. So getting the right size of wetsuit is pretty much the most imperative thing. The way that the wetsuits actually work is by hugging your body, and then the actual neoprene itself and the water within that neoprene is then used to insulate you, as well as all the sort of bubbles which trap warm air and the thermal lining which trap warm air. If it doesn't fit well against your skin, it's not going to keep you warm. Water's going to flush in and pool within the wetsuit. So getting a good size is really imperative. If it's too tight, it will be too restrictive, you'll feel uncomfortable, you won't be able to breathe, and perhaps the wetsuit won't sit into all the nooks and crannies as well as it should, and you will get colder. Then obviously if it's too big, then you're going to have areas where the water is going to get into the wetsuit, it won't flush through, and it will sit around your body. Typical places that happens is around the lumbar, around the kidneys. A lot of people have water pooling around there. A bad fit around the neck, if you sort of get a splash of water, or if you duck under the water, it's going to fill up your wetsuit. And then also if you've got sort of a bad fitting under your arms, then you get water coming in through your armpits, it will sort of pool there, you get rubbing and chafing. And also if the wetsuit is too short on your arms or on your legs, then the wetsuit won't marry up well with your gloves or with your boots, and again you're going to have a few problems. The length of the wetsuit is really important. Okay, so if the wetsuit is a good length, it should marry right up to this sort of a joint of your wrist with your hand, and then on your legs around your sort of ankles, right around the bottom of your ankles. That length will basically help the wetsuit marry up well with any gloves and boots that you'll be wearing. If it's too short, then what will happen is it will ride up high, the boots will fill up with water, your gloves will fill up with water, and then you've got a bit of an issue. So the length of the wetsuit is really critical, and that also counts with the body as well. So as long as it's a good length in your body, the neck piece should sit quite high around your neck, not too low, and that will mean it will create a good seal around your neck and stop any flushing through if you sort of fall off or duck dive. But also, if it's too short in your body, then you'll feel your shoulders being pulled down. And what happens a lot of time is you'll get a shine on the shoulders where the neoprene is really pulling down if it's a bit too short in your torso. So you need to have that length in the torso, which will give you sort of comfort and a good fit, which means it'll allow all of the parts of the wetsuit to hug nicely under your arms and around your sort of lumbar region. So it's important to sort of keep an eye out for that. So around the neck, around the shoulders. One of the key areas to have a good fitting wetsuit as well is around your lumbar region. So if it's a good fit, the neoprene will sit flush against your kidneys, okay? If it sits flush against your kidneys, it will keep your kidneys warm, which will in turn keep your blood warm, which will then keep your body warmer. If it hovers over your kidneys, if it's a small amount, it's okay, because a lot of the time there has to be a bit of a compromise if you're very sort of narrow around your waist. But if it hovers too far over your kidneys, then what will happen is your kidneys aren't staying warm, and also you get water pooling in around that area, which will make you cold. And then across the chest, it's really important to have a nice tight fit around your torso and around your chest as well. So if you've got a good fit around your chest, sometimes you have a bit of bunching under your arm. It's not too important, but as long as it's not too much there. If it's too wide across your chest, again, you're going to have gaps under your arms where water can collect, and you're going to have sort of water sloshing around in the torso of the wetsuit, which is the most important area to have a nice tight fit. One of the things to look out for, if the wetsuit is too tight, then obviously it will restrict your breathing, which isn't too good. You want a tight fit around your neck, but you don't want to feel it's pulling you down. It should feel like a second skin, essentially. So if the wetsuit feels like it's a second skin, nice and tight, but not restrictive and not pulling you in any way that you shouldn't be going naturally. Because if you're sort of fighting against the neoprene too much, the wetsuits do stretch by up to 5 or 10%, but if they're too tight, then obviously that's going to cause you problems in terms of restriction and discomfort. So wetsuits outside of the sort of standard supermarket style should be made specifically for men, kids or women. Okay, so with the kids' wetsuits, they typically tend to be narrower, because a lot of kids are kind of very slim, so they're like nice and tall and slim, but they're sort of generic between girls and boys. With men's wetsuits, you'll tend to find that they are sort of maybe broader in the shoulder, narrower in the waist. And with ladies, like a wetsuit like this, you can see it's got a bit more sort of curvature about it, and sort of tapered around the waist but wider on the hip, and a bit more of an hourglass shape. So one thing that's sort of important to remember within that is that different brands have a different fit. They all have a different cut and a different fit. So one wetsuit manufacturer might fit you well, and another manufacturer might not fit you well. So it's a good idea to try on a couple of different wetsuits within sort of the price range that you're looking, and it's just really down to finding the one that fits best. That might be Rip Curl, it might be O'Neill, it might be Gull. So if you know what fits you best, then that's great. But if not, then you can give us a shout and we can sort of talk you through which particular manufacturer might be best for you. Things have got really good lately over the last sort of few years. You can get an off the hanger wetsuit now, which will pretty much fit anyone. So rather than just have, like the old days, you just had small, medium, large and extra large, you can now get a wetsuit in small, small, tall if you're tall and slim, medium, medium, tall if you're tall and slim, large, short if you're bigger and shorter and stockier. And you can even get things like extra large short or extra large tall. So for men, it's quite straightforward, and pretty much most men should be able to find a wetsuit off the hanger that's going to fit really well. Ladies, it's quite well simplified again. It's just done on a dress size. Now typically with your dress size it's going to be UK 8, 10, 12 and that kind of thing, but they do also do a UK 12 tall, some manufacturers, and short as well. So again, there should be a wetsuit for most shapes and sizes, and again it's down to sort of which manufacturer or brand fits you the best. But yeah, you're going to go on a UK dress size, and then with kids it's done on age, and it tends to be a sort of 2-year gap between the ages. So you've got 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. More difficult with kids because obviously there are a lot of different shapes and sizes. So again, it's really important to use the size charts and the key measurements that you're looking for. It's obviously height, and then the sort of waist measurement, and then the chest measurement, to make sure that you're getting a wetsuit that fits well in terms of length and around the torso as well. In the majority of cases, wetsuits should just be worn with nothing underneath, so commando. Basically, the wetsuits these days are very good quality. A bit of a urban myth, if you like, is that you need a rash vest with every wetsuit. Now, if you are prone to rashes and you've got sensitive skin and that kind of thing, then rash vests are good. But typically, they don't have any warmth properties unless it's a thermal rash vest. So with most of the wetsuits these days being high quality, very soft neoprene with thermal lining, that neoprene should actually be allowed to sit against the body, and then it will do its job. If it's got lycra and a rash vest in the way, it's not going to be keeping you as warm, so you actually do get colder, and then the thermal lining that's within the suit isn't doing its job. But having said that, with sort of some of the cheaper wetsuits, or with people that really do have abrasions, especially around the neck and armpits, sometimes a rash vest can be quite an important thing. And thermal rash vests are a whole different cup of tea, if you like, a whole different kettle of fish. And basically what they do is they've got a polypro lining, which is kind of a thermal lining in itself. It's very non-absorbent, and it's very good at insulating you. And that thermal material can be quite useful to wear underneath your wetsuit. And sometimes people will wear shorts made of thermal material if they get cold around that region, or if they just want a bit of protection. And sometimes people wear a thermal top, and they are good at providing another layer to trap warm air within the wetsuit and keep you warmer, but they also protect you as well. So if you've got an old wetsuit or a thinner wetsuit that you want to give a little bit more warmth to, then thermal vests and shorts and tops are really sort of a good option.